YouTube, what it do? It's your boy Baylor TV. I'm back with another reaction video for y'all. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Hey, look, if y'all been appreciating what I've been posting, all I want y'all to do is hit the like button right now and subscribe. Okay? So look, I got a 4-part reaction video I want to get into y'all. All right? It's called Single Mothers versus Married Mothers. So in today's video, we're gonna get into opinions and the lifestyle of single mothers and married mothers and see where they relate and where the differences are besides their relationship status, right? Okay, so look, I want to give a special shout out to all my subscribers. We're continuously growing. Like I said, I got a goal by the end of this year. I want to get to 500 subscribers, bro. Let's get to 500 subscribers, all right? Hit that subscribe button, turn on all post notifications, and you know, just rock with me, man, just how I rock with y'all. So we're gonna get into the video in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, I'm a Queen. I'm a single mom.
Hi, I'm Mary Pierce. I'm a single mom.
Hi, I'm Annie. I'm a single mom.
Hi, I'm Raylyn. I'm a single mom.
Hi, I'm Amber Wright, and I'm a married mom.
Hi, I'm Lucille Sarkodie, and I'm a married mom.
Hello, I'm Damaris Hernandez, and I'm a married mom.
And the first prompt is, do you think single mothers can be just as emotionally fulfilled as married mothers? Okay, anyone who'd like to speak can just
I'll speak. I think we can. Sometimes being single is a choice. Everybody's not a single mother because they, got the wrong man. Some people are by choice because they just, like me, just got out of our situation, didn't want to be married anymore. And I'm very fulfilled. Like, I still go out, I turn up, do karaoke. I'm an actress now. I'm just living it. I'm happier to me. So that's how
So I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I am married now, but I was divorced, and for a time period, I was single, raising two daughters. And during that time period, I wouldn't say that I wasn't fulfilled. My focus was on my children, and I just immersed myself in my children's activities and, made sure that I found a way to rejuvenate and have fun as well. So I think being single doesn't mean that you're not fulfilled. Like you said, it could be by choice.
Oh, I have to say, I've also been on both sides. I used to be married, now I'm single. At first it was really hard to navigate, because you never go into a marriage thinking this is going to end at one day, right? So, but when I became single, I married very young, and when I became single, I was able to kind of show a different side of myself to my daughter. There was a lot of pressure that was kind of lifted off of me because I had an opportunity to focus on myself and what I wanted, not as a mother, but as a person. And so I feel like my daughter got this more whole version of me because I wasn't constantly trying to care for every single person in my life. And so there's a different type of fulfillment. I think that naturally, if you want a partner, of course, you're gonna wonder. But I think when it comes to parenting and that different type of presence you have with your child when you're single, it's just a different experience overall.
I think I'm the only one who put red up. I came from Ukraine 10 years ago, just me and my daughter. And 7 years out of it, I probably was single. And I can say that I don't think that woman can be, at times, yes, but most of the time we want to be loved, we want to be taken care of, we want to be supported and feel safe, and it's just not there. And I think that, coming out of divorce, definitely you need some time to have fun. And I thought that, maybe 2 years and I'll get married, but it's been 10 years and I'm not. And I definitely feel that longing for being taken care of. And that's why I think that it's not possible to get that when you're alone. Luckily, I'm right now in committed relationships, and I just see the difference. It's such a big difference to be with someone.
Thank you.
So being emotionally fulfilled, I've been single more than I've been in a relationship. So maybe I've been in a relationship for 2 years, the longest, but majority of the time I've been single. And with that, I'm saying emotional fulfillment, for me, can come from my friends, can come from like their great grandparents or their grandparents. It can come from my mentors and colleagues in school. And so I don't think it necessarily needs to be like a male partnership for me to feel like emotional, like fulfillment. Like I feel that through, you know, other things. And like I said, I spent majority of my life, you know, single, so.
Shout out to them for being vulnerable and sharing, you know, their experiences as a single mother, you know, for them to be vulnerable enough to come on the platform to share their thoughts and feelings. And I feel like single mothers go through an emotional roller coaster, you know, up and down. It's like every day because, you know, they're parenting on their own. And especially emotionally, I know it could take a toll. And someone who's especially new to being a single mom or just being a mom at all. So there's that. So I feel like I feel like it's like a 50-50 with them. You know, that's what I feel like for them emotionally, but we'll get in more into it.
Do you think that married mothers face just as many struggles as single mothers?
I personally feel like it is just as many struggles, but it could be two different ballparks. I married my high school sweetheart, and we're still married. And I feel like when it comes to just day-to-day life, it's not only tending my little ones, but also navigating it with my husband, and then aside from that, myself. So I feel like that extra person can really throw things off balance, especially because we both grew up together in a way, if we knew each other since high school and the beginning of parenthood. We started young. We had my first and second, like, really close together. And it's just hard. I see the different issues that could arise when it comes to hanging out with friends, because I could barely do that because I try to prioritize myself to keep the house kind of balanced. And then that friends are kind of like an external factor, so that's kind of in the back end. But I feel like there's a lot of internal struggles that I have to go through because I feel like I have to tend my kids and my husband before myself. And whether that's not being able to go out with friends or having to postpone, let's say, a shower a day or something like that. I feel like they both have just as many struggles, but it could be completely different.
Yeah, thank you.
I've been with my husband for 18 years, married 17 of those, and he's always been that strong backbone in our life where if something came up, he's always like, it's only temporary, we'll get through this. And he's also the overthinker that will put so much stress on top of something that didn't actually need that added stress. But the last couple of years, we've been navigating my mom having a couple of strokes and now having heart issues. My son has been in and out of the hospital over the last 2 years and has to use a wheelchair right now. And so as I grew up with a single parent mom, and so I saw her not have a village and doing it on her own. I think the only way we're surviving, even being married, is that we have a really good village around us. So it isn't necessarily family, it's our friends that are backing us up and getting my daughter to school because I've been up all night with my son, or I spent a whole month in the hospital with my son and I saw my daughter twice in that month. So I think like when you have a marriage, like you were saying, that you have that extra person now that you have to check on instead of just checking yourself and then keeping your kids together. You now have a whole nother adult that could be running a marathon of their own issues that they see on their side that maybe you don't see.
You feel me? So obviously we know it is single mothers versus married mothers, but I feel like the one to the far right, the Hispanic one, she's been with her dude since high school, their first loves. But these two right here, Miss Amber and the one in the middle right here, I feel like they're divorced, but they remarried. You feel me? So they were these two are former single mothers now married. That's what I think.
And that's hard because I'm very go with the flow, and my husband will come in and he has to think of the 1,000 scenarios that could go down that, and he stresses himself out more. And then instead of just being able to navigate the situation, I'm now navigating his situation and trying to reel him back in, and that can be hard sometimes.
I think sometimes society will obviously make it appear that when you're married, you don't have any issues. Like, you have a husband, you have your children, you have help, so you have everything kind of together. And sometimes don't think about some of those things that, yes, but he is another person that you have to, in some ways, take care of in that sense too. So it may not be all that it always seems. So thank you for sharing that. What do you ladies think?
I think I'm again only one red. I don't know, maybe it's because I had to deal with this in the foreign country with the kid, but I think if I had someone during that time, I would still have someone to rely on or to share negatives and positives together, and I didn't have that. And it was constant flight or fight mode and a lot of stress. So yeah, I think that single motherhood is much more harder than being married.
Yeah, so you believe that those benefits outweigh the fact that you're having to take care of him
Yeah.
and do those things because you have someone taking care of him.
Providing to a child, maybe because I'm coming from a very poor family and constant fear of getting there again and be in that situation, it also adds to the stress. But yeah, the survival mode was the hardest thing probably during the last 10 years.
Of course, yes. Thank you for sharing that. Did you want to share?
Yes. So I'm surprised by what they shared because, as a single mother, I feel like, you are the breadwinner. If you have a husband or a partner, maybe they're bringing in some income, you're bringing in some income. You're doing the laundry, you're doing the dishes, you're making the lunches, you're picking up, you're dropping off. You're everywhere on the assembly line if you're single. So the assumption is if you do have somebody, that they alleviate some of the to-do list of what you have to do. So I'm really surprised that that you guys are saying that depending on the partner and what they come with.
See, she got a point. She got a point because she's single. If you guys are married and obviously them being single moms, they're lacking what you guys have, they don't have. How can marriage not be easier for them? Because you guys are married, that means you guys have help. Them being single, they do everything. There is no man in the house. When it comes to, these are the ladies where when it comes to Father's Day, these kids are posting their moms on the Father's Day because their mom had to play both parts. So she has a right to feel surprised that, to feel the way she feels when she listens to married women say they have the same struggles as single mothers in a marriage.
I believe that you still struggle as a married woman. I was both. I was married and single, and I used to just be feeling like a single mom still. My husband used to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to construction and get home at 6. And by then I took the kids to school. I picked them up. I played with them. I took them to the park. I did their homework. I got them in the tub. I fed them, and then he came home, and that was it. That's all he did. He slept and ate. All day I had to do that, 5 days a week. So on the weekends, I would try to put it off on him, but I still feel like I still had struggles. I was on the phone with my sister more than my husband and my friends and trying to be on Facebook and trying to see what's going on in the world, but I didn't feel like I had a lot of support as a married woman, so I feel like you still have struggles.
I'm not sure if it,
See, what that sounds like to me was you had a hard-working man. He's doing manual labor, construction. It sounds like to me you were as a stay-at-home wife, and you had a working husband. So you guys were. It sounds like you guys were in a traditional marriage where he went to work and you stay home with the kids, and then on the weekends you're trying to put it off on him. That makes no sense. Like either y'all doing it together or you still stay within your role as a mom, where you don't put off the kids on him on the weekends. I do understand you may need your break, but that just sounds like you guys were in a traditional marriage. You understood that being a stay-at-home mom or just being a mom completely this is my job. He's going to work. He's bringing back the bread. That's his job. That's his role. So I don't even understand, like, how can she be complaining off that? You feel me? It could be some other factors I don't understand, but we'll get into it.
Many of you guys have dealt with this too. I feel like I kind of experienced the same thing where there were times that I felt like I was a single mother when I was married. But when I became a single mother, I feel like there was a sense of community among women around me, and like they almost felt like they have to stand up for me, right? Because I had friends. I was very isolated when I was married. I didn't hang out with anybody. Like my friends was my family, you know, and just like you, I'd kind of like put them off to the back burner, I'd go out maybe once a year. And they saw me go through this separation, and they all kind of stood up for me, and like they were there helping me navigate. And so it was a really interesting situation to feel more supported when I became single, and to realize that I had this community, because we all went through it at that time, you know? So I understand exactly what you were saying. Like, I would come home sometimes 11 o'clock, and my ex-husband, though a wonderful father, would fall asleep on the couch, and my daughter's playing, so I would still have to get her ready for bed and then do the nighttime routine, and then, you know, wind her down, and it's midnight and I couldn't do anything for myself, you know, and it's exhausting. And so there is a sense of community, I feel like, that I was very blessed to have once I became a single mom.
Okay, so the next prompt is, are children of...
Question. This is a question I got. Do you guys feel like, because it's a question that's going to already answer for itself, but what's easier? Staying at home with the kids or going to work and provide? What would you rather do? And this question could be for the women who do see these videos. What would be easier for you guys? Go to work and provide for your family and let your husband be a stay-at-home dad. Because I'm pretty sure 100% of you are going to choose to be a stay-at-home mom over than you being the breadwinner and letting the husband that you married, the man, be a stay-at-home dad. Come on, bro.
Single mothers at a disadvantage compared to children of married mothers, and why?
I'll go first.
Sure.
I feel like they are. My son, Ali, has never met his dad his whole life. And when he see other kids with their dads, he's kind of like a little bit sad. And like, he calls everybody dad. Like, if he meets another guy and the kid is calling him dad, he's calling him dad too. And I do feel like it's a disadvantage because I have another son. When we split up, his dad and I split up, he did a whole turn around. Like, he started feeling like, you know, empty and hanging out with all these friends and started doing drugs, and it just went a whole crazy left. So I do feel like kids that are single, for the single parents, have a disadvantage, even in relationships. You grow up thinking certain stuff is okay because you didn't see a mom and dad in your household. So I do feel like they have it's not easy and they have it hard. So, yeah.
I think again, I'm looking at this from when I became single, and I think it depends on you as the mother to make sure that your children don't suffer from, you know, not having their father physically in the house with them. So for me, what I did was like I said, I just took the responsibility of making sure that I exposed my kids to a lot of things. You know, they thought I worked at their school because I was always there. I was the PTA president. You know, I did a lot with them that I felt like that, you know, obviously divorce is the hardest thing. It's very hard. I'm not minimizing that. I've gone through it. But at the same time, I think once you become single, it's up to you, the mother, to make sure that your children don't feel that they are at a disadvantage. And I did that by just making sure that I sacrificed some of my own time, and I spent a lot of time with my kids and, making sure we did a lot of things together.
So, because she feels like she did a lot for her kids by spending more time with them, that she fulfilled the presence of a man, a father in her kids' life because she was always available to them. No, you still did not fulfill that role. You will always be mom to them. And to be honest, in a traditional marriage a mom will always spend time more with the kids than the father will. That's how it's always been. It's always been like that. The father will make time for things that are like necessary, but if he's constantly going to work 5 days a week, okay, those two days out the week he'll have that type of time to be with the kids. But majority of the time the kids are always with the mom. So by her saying that because she made time for them, you're always gonna have more time with your kids. It's just that's how it is. But because you spend more time with them does not fulfill the presence of a father for the child. That's not how it goes, in my opinion.
Did your kids ever ask about like, oh, where's my dad, or I want to see my dad? Like, how did you handle those conversations?
Absolutely.
Because sometimes, sometimes some kids, they're afraid to even bring it up to their mother because they feel like it's going to bother them, and they don't want to show that they're missing having a father and that kind of thing. So how did you deal with that?
I think initially we had every other weekend where he would pick them up. So that helped. And also I didn't prevent them from talking to their dad. I didn't speak badly about their dad to them. So they had the open opportunity to, call their dad and vent if they needed to. I gave them that space. And every other weekend when he picked them up, it was like, a great opportunity for them to connect. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that.
I agree with you when you said that, not bad-mouthing the father, because my dad was never in the picture at all. There was never those promises to pick me up and then not showing up. He was just plain gone. So my mom always made sure to not necessarily build him up to a person he wasn't, but just let his own actions kind of speak for himself, but never say horrible things about him, and just would say things like, well, you don't know what's going on in his life. So maybe one day he'll figure it out, or, and he'll come back around. We'll get there. And I think that I saw my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law go through their divorce and how it affected the children being so evil towards each other. It's like you had love for each other. At some point, you now have these beautiful creations in front of you. Don't destroy them with those words, because it follows them so much. And I am grateful for what my mom did, because I just found my dad 3 years ago. And when I asked him why he never looked for me, he said he did a few times, but after so many years, he figured I hated him. So having those conversations, so actually it was really healing for him and my mom too, because he said he wants to build monuments to her, because he goes, I figured you would have filled her head with so many bad words about me, which would have been okay because I totally abandoned you guys. But he goes, but you didn't, and now I have my grandchildren. And I actually, before I found him, I found a whole bunch of half-siblings of his. So when I found him, I gave him a whole family. And that's been a wonderful journey to add, and just keep, and also, even if someone is bad when they're younger, we don't know their life experiences and how that'll change them. So maybe they weren't a good father when they were younger, but maybe they have the opportunity to be a better grandfather when your kids get older or something like that. So always just try and leave that open.
I have a question. How did you go about finding your husband not having a father like your whole life?
That
is a great question.
I have to give my mom props, because she was very like, she made bad choices in men, so that she chose not to date a lot when I was younger because she was always scared she would find somebody that was abusive because she said that's what she tended to be drawn to. So I think after the time I was about 5 years old, I don't ever remember my mother dating much after that. But she said she made a choice, and to this day, she's still single. But my mom just said communication, talk, get to know the person, be their friend first, because that's what's gonna save your marriage if you have that communication. So when I met my husband, he was going through a divorce, and I refused to date him. Even though he was looking to date, I said no. I said, we have a lot of things in common. I'll be your friend, but I actually started dating somebody else, and I just remained friends with him. But we kept the dialogue between us open with the conversation. And we really just, what we ended up finding out was we had a lot of things in common, but get down into the nitty gritty of don't be afraid to say what you want. Because if they're not willing to back that, then they don't really care about you as much as you maybe care about them. Because experiencing what me and my husband are experiencing with all the medical stuff with my kids and my mother, you need that strong friendship in those times where there is no lover part of you. When your mind takes over the lover, that part is gone because women, we are so cerebral when we get into those things. So that part of us tends to go. But if you can have that friendship and those communications, that's what gets us through even when we're struggling. We just like to really tell each other, like, I need this more from you right now. Or I say, I don't have that to give, but let's take 10 minutes, even if it's just run to the grocery store and we hold hands while going to the grocery store really quick to get back, or just walk outside and get that fresh air or something. Or I don't know, we just, you find the moments, but I think that's the only reason we have made it through these tough times is because of that beginning friendship that we told each other we were going to take care of our parents if they were sick. We didn't want this, we didn't want that, because with him going through his divorce, his ex didn't speak up, and he was telling her all he wanted, but she was like, oh yeah. And so that was really hard for him. So for us, that's really, I feel, kept it, not saying we haven't struggled or had our issues with it, but once we realize we need that communication, it makes a difference.
Thank you. Quick question for ladies on the side. Do any of you have daughters?
I do.
Okay, so how does not being married, how do you think that's going to affect your daughters? Because sometimes as a single parent, not having the husband, you may worry that your children are not going to have those same experiences as someone who's married, especially with her learning about how to deal with men and just the protection aspect of it. Can anyone speak to that?
Yeah, so I have a daughter. She's 8 years old now. A little bossy. I feel that I didn't have a father figure, in my life. And going back to like the disadvantaged, I don't think that she will be disadvantaged, I will say that. Because it depends on the spouse and what they're presenting, or the dad and what they're presenting. If they're presenting domestic violence, if they're like presenting like instability, if they're presenting, I have a job, 9 different jobs in 1 year, if they're presenting like smoking and alcoholism. So as a mother, you provide a safe haven, and that person comes in and they disrupt that. So I think that my daughter like recognizes what it looks like for it to be safe and to be fearless, in the home versus, a man that comes in and like obstructs like something like that. And so, we do talk about like dating and boys, and if she's curious about things and she watches different healthy like shows on her iPad about, dating relationships or boy and girl dynamics, and I don't think that she's gonna be disenfranchised. Or I feel like for myself, I'm a success that came from a single mother. Bachelor's degree, master's degree, things like that. And I feel like if you put good interventions in, then you can get good outcomes. So I don't worry about her. And I hope that, she will be a success, and she will, navigate dating and marriage, in a healthy way.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what they're gonna use to make themselves feel better about their lives. And shout out to her. She got her achievements, she got her degrees. but she's not married. You know, I'm gonna get a lot of flack for that because I'm trying to make her feel less or make her look less than because she has masters, she got degrees, but she's not married. But you know, it is what it is. She's raising a daughter by herself, no man in the house, and she's gonna. And she said she's 8 years old. Her daughter's already bossy. You know, she's calm right here in the video, but she could be getting the bossy attitude from her mother or another woman that's in their lives that's influential of them being bossy, like her grandma. That could be single as well, with her opinions. I don't know. But I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it play for like 4 more minutes.
I think with my daughter, actually, being single worked for her as advantage, because from the day one, I told her, you're on your own. Like, I'm not gonna help you with your homework. I don't have time for that, and I also didn't want to do it. And so she became very like resilient, responsible, very like her own person. And I think to the topic of like how she would date people in the future, she saw me during the last 10 years, like dealing with my own self-worth, and I grew up as a person, and she was observing me, and she learned so much. And now she's 15, and some of her girlfriends started dating, and she's not needy. She doesn't really need a boy. She's just waiting for the perfect and good one. And I'm actually very, very proud of her. And I feel that probably me in some way influenced her. And she's very like self-sufficient and has her own self-worth. Yeah.
My daughter is 21, believe it or not, but I had her when I was 19. She's seen a lot. Well, I just hid a lot from them. They didn't see their dad like a bad guy, because I used to just hide it. At night, he would act up. They would never know, but with her, she's not interested in like men like that. She dated a lot of guys that kind of look like her dad. So she liked like chocolate and like tall and dark skin, but she, in smarter guys, her boyfriend's like smarter than her, but she's not really interested in like a relationship. She's kind of just like me. She just want to just live her life and have fun and follow her dreams. So it's, I don't know.
You don't feel like it had that much of an impact.
But that's the mentality I disagree with when we raising our daughters, bruh. I'm not gonna raise my daughter to have fun, make mistakes. You're young. I'm not gonna give her that mentality. She's 40. She's gotta be 40, 39, whatever, I don't know. She's gonna be, or she's on her way to being 40, in her 40s. You feel me? She's basically showing her daughter to make the same mistakes that she made and let her know that it will be okay. A man will come save you regardless. She was married and she's now divorced, right? Whatever. And that's where I draw the line. I'm not gonna teach my daughter like, yo, you're young, it's okay to make mistakes. Like, we're always gonna make mistakes, but there are mistakes where you can prevent them from being made. And I'm not gonna raise my daughter to be like that. She's 21, her daughter's 21 years old. She said, she's already had a lot of boyfriends. What's a lot?
No.
I think, going back to, not bad-mouthing the father or your ex, whoever it is, to their children, I think you want to set them up where in the future they're not skeptical of men. If they choose to date, they're not going to think that, my mother said this about my dad, or I saw this, and that's how all men are. So, I commend the ladies that really make sure that you shield your children from, having this negative perception about their father. Eventually, with time, if anything needs to come up, it'll come up once the kids grow up. But I feel like it's not our responsibility to share those negative things to our children, especially girls, because then, how would they date? They go into relationships with their guards up because they feel like that's how all men are.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I think some mothers may think that they're protecting their child from him, and that's why they have to say these things so that they don't get their hopes up or things like that. But like you said, that could actually bring fear and cause more problems and they're going to find out eventually.
I totally agree with that. And I also tell my daughter, oh, you're creative like your dad, or you're smart like your dad, oh, you look like him. And it builds this figure, like maybe it's imaginary, but it's next to her that she's proud of, and it's working out really well. I can see it.
All I'll say is you don't need that man to be that influential person. I jokingly tell my mom all the time, I married my mom because she was that strong woman in my life. She showed me how to hold down a job and how to support her family. And she gave me all those like life skills and everything. So when I looked for someone to marry, it wasn't about it being a man or a woman. It was someone who was going to take care of me, someone who was going to support me. So it doesn't just have to be that father figure that gives you those ideas of what will make a good partner. You all can give that same exact, love and show them what it's like to have that partner in them.
That leads me right to the next prompt, which is, does a mother need a husband or partner to successfully raise a child?
I'm on both sides.
Okay, we haven't heard a lot from you.
I feel like they don't need it, but it's always that supportive backbone.
She's married. She's married, and she doesn't feel like you don't need a husband to raise a successful child, and she's married.
I think that, personally with my husband, he is the one that wakes the kids up, gets them ready for school, puts them to sleep, and he works in between the day, and I do everything in between. So I feel like in my personal situation, I would really need that because it does give me those small windows for myself. And that's my spouse for me, but it could be someone's parent for them, like grandma, grandpa, being their support. But I feel like they don't need it, but it could be something they could long for when it comes to that.
May I ask, how old are your kids, if you don't mind?
I'm 25, and my oldest just turned 6. His sister is 4 going to 5, and my baby is 1.5.
Okay, that's why I was gonna say, I totally agree. I don't think we need it, but at those ages, and that's what I figured, that you need, longing for that. Again, it's like that kind of the community, right? Like you said, it could be someone's mother or somebody. And I definitely wholeheartedly disagree with that you need a husband or a partner. Even when it comes back to that last question with being a single mother, how do you navigate teaching your daughter about men and stuff? I think being single has allotted me also platonic male friendships. And I'm realizing it's so important that my daughter can see safety in.
She's in denial. She's in denial, you feel me? Especially when I heard about that platonic male friendship. Girl, them niggas want to smash, bro. Them men want to smash. They want to smash the shit out of your Hispanic, Asian, whatever she is, frame. Them guys want to get in where they fit in, you feel me? Them guys been waiting since you left your man to get around you. They want to be vulnerable with you. They want to spend time with your kids, make you smile, giggle you up out of them panties, you feel me? Let's cut it off right there, But can men be friends? Yeah, you feel me? I feel like a man could be friends with a woman if she's unattractive. If she's unattractive, that's my point. That's my opinion on that. You feel me? Baylor TV, we out. Like, comment, and subscribe.